Good morning and welcome to the Crypto Mining Show, your one-stop shop for all cryptocurrency news from the perspective of a cryptocurrency miner. I go by Blind Run on the internet and Matthew in real life. And last night we had the most historical event in cryptocurrency since the inception of Bitcoin, essentially, with the merge on Ethereum. Meaning, of course, we had Ethereum move from the proof of work consensus mechanism to the proof of stake consensus mechanism. And of course, we're a cryptocurrency mining channel, so, we no longer are able to provide consensus to the Ethereum network and get paid out in return, which means people have to move to other coins. And we're going to be discussing that today because, yes, it does look grim. Right now, we are looking at, for the most part, if you're over about like 16, 17 cents a kilowatt hour, pretty much unprofitable on anything that is around. If you have lower power costs, then of course you can remain profitable. It's not as doom and gloom as it looks for my particular farm. It looks like we did okay the past 24 hours. Of course, more hash rate coming onto the networks that we are mining on is going to affect that. Half of my farm is turned off right now. This is kind of where I'm at. We'll go into that detail, of course, later on in the show. We have a lot of stuff to cover. Where did all the hash rate go, right, from Ethereum? It's quite incredible the amount of hash rate that actually just turned off and didn't move anywhere. We also have what is going on with ETHW, or ETH Proof of Work, the fork, the newest fork of Ethereum. What's happening with that? It doesn't look good. Most of the stuff that is coming out surrounding it is just plain not working, and that is where I'm sitting with it right now. We also have talk about basically ETH falling below 1500. We have a crash in Ethereum right now, which is like, holy moly, what are we going to see? We're going to see crashes in Ethereum right after a successful merge or successful merge. Why is that happening? We're going to be talking about that, of course, and just getting some overviews for, of course, Ethereum and its move to proof of work. We're going to be talking about the last block that was mined. We're going to be talking about some perspectives from major cryptocurrency news outlets. And of course, we still have to cover releases. So other stuff is happening in the cryptocurrency scene. There are new releases coming out for cryptocurrency miners. There are new releases coming out for coins. So this is where we're at. I want to remind you guys to go ahead and hit that like button for me. And we're going to get into an ad right after I say thank you to Stephen Cook for that $100 super chat saying hope all is going well for you. Remember, save your super chats for the end of the show. If you have a question that you want to tie it to, the super stickers do boost the algorithm, so I appreciate those much. And here's the ad before we get into the rest of the show. Today's sponsor is Crypto.com. Crypto.com is my go-to centralized exchange for liquidating my crypto assets. With their Crypto.com Visa debit card, I can load up my mined Ethereum to pay for power and other operating costs. In addition to the Visa debit card, there are additional fiat options, including wire transfers, to easily receive your profits. Crypto.com also offers additional services, including trading and even staking, to earn additional revenue on your investments. Join 10 million plus users buying and selling 100 plus cryptocurrencies at true cost by using my affiliate link in the description for a $25 funding bonus. Or enter referral code SOAT at sign up for the same bonus. Remember, cryptocurrency investment comes with significant risks, so do your own research. All right, so first things first, we are going to get into mining software releases. For the uninitiated, this is the software that us GPU miners utilize to mine various different cryptocurrencies. So if you are kind of watching from the perspective of retail or something along those lines, just understand that we cover this because we can also find hints and tips to things that are going on. Maybe we find a new spec mineable coin that nobody's heard about, right? Maybe we find some improvements that help us become more profitable on different algorithms and so on. This is why we cover these every time they have a release. The first one that we have going up, of course, if I can get everything functioning today. It was a late night, so bear with me while we get this all sorted here. Bam, wham, bam. Thank you, ma'am. Something like that. And something like that. There we go. That's going to get that taken care of. So the first thing that we got today is lolMiner version 1.57. And the changes are not that much. And they said another performance improvement of flux mining on Ampere-based GPUs, you know, flux mining improvements, cool, 1.5% to 3.5%, depending on the models and clocks. Now, as most of the GPU miners are going to be aware, lolMiner hasn't been typically traditionally the go-to miner for flux. Most people stuck around mining essentially with flux with mini-Z, and part of that was because mini-Z did implement CUDA while all the rest of the miners were implementing OpenCL still for mining flux, and that gave mini-Z a huge performance advantage in mining flux all the way up until, of course, just last week when lolMiner implemented CUDA and became competitive. So this is the big change that's going on. Now, they do have a fix here as well. They fixed a bug causing some Ergo pools to disconnect the miner frequently. So if you're having that issues, that was introduced with 1.56. Maybe you need to update to 1.57. And of course, Ergo is going to shape up to be probably a lot, the coin that takes on a lot of the hash power. It's looking like that's what's happening. And more mining software is starting to look at supporting Ergo better and starting to smooth out the AutoLicos 2 algorithm too, because that is a thing that, you know, we've started to see coming up. If you don't have power limits set, you are having power spikes. I wasn't actually aware of this because I had never set, of course, my miners to unlimited power on Ergo. I had just always left whatever I had on Ethereum. But, you know, I believe Fox Protocol Mining had kind of brought that up and brought it to everybody's attention. Now, it's looking like Team Redminer is starting to find some resolution for this. So a new piece of mining software coming from Team Redminer, version 0.10.3, 4 hours ago, maintenance released improving AutoLicos 2 with pad pre-build and dual ZIL mining in general. So here's what we got going on. For Ergo and AutoLicos V2, what you have is a pre-build happening on the next hype pad. This is where the power spike was coming from, as reported by Fox Protocol on Twitter. And this is something that is getting resolved in Team Redminer version 10.3. We'll have to give it a shot to see how it works. And that is to raise the effective hash rate over time as well, because as opposed to having to rebuild every time, the hype pad is going to pre-build as like part of it and then basically smooth out your hash rate over time. So this is looking really good for Ergo and the AMD GPUs. Now, they also added some other stuff, but it's still kind of, you know, sticking with the old guard, ET hash and dual ZIL mining. Who's going to use that now, right? Are you going to use it for ETC? Sure, maybe, but you know, it does look like ETC is pretty much flooded by ASICs at this point. They added R mode ZIL cache support with ETH DAG cache equals 0, and they added the argument ETH no job logs to suppress pool job logging. They also fixed some issues with pools using mining core, mainly Ergo and Vert hash pools. And this is something that I have noticed because a lot of people were telling me, well, you know, if you're going to spin up an ETHW pool, use mining core. And I was like, mining core, I've noticed, doesn't perform as well. On my own local nodes, Ergo, if you guys aren't familiar, it kind of requires you to set up a stratum. You can't just mine Ergo directly to the node like you can with something like Caspa, for example. So you have to spin it up and then you have to spin up a stratum. Well, you have like essentially two different, maybe three different stratum options. You can do like basically an Ergo stratum, and then you could do something like the mining core, which is a full basically mining pool suite. Now, mining core is awesome. It supports a ton of different algorithms, a ton of different coins. It has payment processing. There are a ton of different front ends that people have developed that you can pull straight off of GitHub. If you're wanting to like learn how to build a mining pool, it's a great way to do it. That being said, when I was solo mining Ergo, what I found was I had much better performance utilizing just a straight stratum than I did actually utilizing mining core itself. Now, that can be, of course, due to a lot of other settings, including variable difficulties and so on. and I haven't quite deep dived it yet. But I'm not sure that from the perspective of running a pool for Ergo that the most beneficial right now is utilizing Mining Core. And it looks like if we dig deep into the fixes that are being done on the GPU mining software side of things, there is some sort of communication problems going on between Mining Core and the GPU miners in relation to Ergo and VertHash. So that's something that I kind of pulled out of this that I thought was interesting to bring up. Now, if you guys aren't familiar, there is a coin called VerusCoin, which is a CPU mineable coin that I had been mining for quite some time. They do have some new releases going on here as well, version 0.9.4. And this one in particular is primarily for the testnet. What they've been working on with this testnet is tokenizing ID control. So NFT type stuff. NFT map tokens will allow you to define an Ethereum NFT as a token that controls, revoke, and recover for an ID, similar to how you can define a tokenized ID control. An NFT map token, when defined, refers by contract and token ID to a specific NFT on the Ethereum blockchain. Essentially, what we're looking at is kind of an Ethereum bridge, but with Ethereum NFT map tokens. Very interesting stuff going on here. If you want to take a look at it, links are down in the description below. It's going to be a little bit more technical. Just keep in mind that from the perspective of what's going on here, we're not just talking about a standard bridge, but we're talking about a bridge that could support NFTs possibly here, which is pretty revolutionary. Like, it's not something that's been done, I suppose is what I should say. And so I'm definitely keeping an eye on this, and I think you should too, because this could mean a lot for a small coin like Verus, right? We're talking about essentially bridging NFTs, similar to how you would bridge other assets right now, right? Tokenized assets, or tokens essentially, right? So you have like a wrapped version of Flux on Ethereum and a wrapped version of Flux on Flux or whatnot, you know, or you have Flux on Flux, and you can use a bridge to go ahead and move that tokenized asset over to Flux and vice versa. Or Binance Smart Chain in Ethereum is a great example of this. If you're not familiar, you know, being able to bridge between your assets between Binance and Ethereum, that's really cool. What would be even cooler? Bridging NFT assets. That would be absolutely insane. And this is something that VerusCoin's working on. So definitely keep an eye on it. Now, obviously, elephant in the room, we have the merge. And I want to say right now too, thank you for 1,000 concurrent viewers. We apparently, it wasn't a fluke. Thank you for enjoying the channel. I hope you guys enjoy it, and that we're providing you with the best information and as up to date and as quickly as possible. That's what I try to do over here. So make sure you hit that like button, get us over 500 likes. That'd be amazing, and share the stream out, and let's continue to grow together. Like I said before, I am, you know, this is a community effort. I get links, I get news from everybody here. If you have something to share with me, share it with me over on Twitter at Son of Tech. And if you think it's relevant, we need to share it with the rest of the community. I am the community mouthpiece here. I'm nothing special. We do this together as a community, and I am the mouthpiece, right? I am going to try to bridge the gap a little bit more for retail investors, stuff like that, so that you guys, you know, all understand what we're talking about, like I did here, of course, with reviewing the mining software, etc. But elephant in the room, Ethereum merge is done. We have an article here from Coindesk kind of doing an overview of it. We're going to go over it, see what the, you know, the mainstream crypto media is thinking in regard to the merge, and then kind of respond to that, right? So they say the historic upgrade casts aside the miners who had previously driven the blockchain with promises of massive environmental benefits. The massive overhaul of Ethereum, known as the merge, has finally happened, moving digital machinery at the core of the second largest cryptocurrency by market value to a vastly more energy efficient system after years of development and delay. It was no small feat swapping out one way of running a blockchain known as proof of work for another called proof of stake. Quote, the metaphor that I use is the idea of switching out an engine from a running car, end quote, said Justin Drake, a researcher at the nonprofit Ethereum Foundation who spoke to Coindesk before the merge happened. The payoff is potentially gigantic. Ethereum should now consume 99.9% or so less energy. It's like Finland suddenly shutting off its power grid, according to one estimate. Ethereum's developers say the upgrade will make the network, which houses a $60 billion ecosystem of cryptocurrency exchanges, lending companies, non-fungible token marketplaces, and other apps, more secure and scalable too. When the merge officially kicked in at 6:43 a.m. UTC, more than 41,000 people were tuned into YouTube to an Ethereum Mainnet merge viewing party. They watched with bated breath as key metrics trickled in, suggesting that Ethereum's core systems had remained intact. After about 15 long minutes, the merge officially finalized, meaning it could be declared as a success. The price of ETH, whose current market value near 200 billion, makes it the second largest cryptocurrency after Bitcoin, was largely flat after the merge. The update, which ends the network's reliance on the energy-intensive process of cryptocurrency mining, has been closely watched by crypto investors, enthusiasts, and skeptics for the impact it is expected to have on the wider blockchain industry. Mark Cuban, investor and billionaire owner of Dallas Mavericks basketball team, told Coindesk he would be watching the merge with interest like everyone else, pointing out that it might make ETH, the network's native token, deflationary. It is most definitely making ETH deflationary. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Let's be extremely clear. They removed the two new ETH minting process, block reward, that was going out to the miners. That was removed. So the only thing that's left in place right now is the actual fee burn from EIP 1559. For the uninitiated, EIP stands for an Ethereum Improvement Proposal. A while back, Ethereum implemented something called EIP 1559, which burned a portion of the fees on the network. You see, basically how both consensus mechanisms work, but how mining works and now validating the block on the network here is that you mine a block or validate a block in proof of stake, and in return, you get paid out basically two different separate things. Typically, you get paid out a block reward, which is the minting process of a given cryptocurrency, and then you get paid out fees. The fees are basically what people are paying you to make the transactions that they are performing on the blockchain. Well, EIP 1559 basically took the fees and split them into essentially two portions, one which would be a base fee and one which would be basically a tip, with obviously the tip being the portion of the fee that goes to the miner or the validator, and the base fee being a portion of the fee that is burned. Now, the tricky part about this is that this is a moving target, meaning as the block fills up and as essentially it shifts, the base fee increases and then will reset at a certain point. This can be utilized to also manipulate a lot of transactions on the network and so on. But basically what you need to know is that you have a moving target of base fee that is continuously being burned. It is not a question of, is it now deflationary? It is most definitely deflationary, because the portion that was inflationary, which was the minting process of new Ethereum coming into the network, which was the 2 Ethereum that came in on every single block that were paid to miners, was removed in the transition to proof of stake. Now, here's the problem we end up with now too. Eventually, Ethereum and the foundation does have to change this, because obviously if you have a continuously deflationary currency, eventually you have no currency left. If you keep burning all of the currency as part of this current, EIP 1559, you end up, burning all of the currency in existence and having no currency to actually utilize. So this is kind of a weird spot to be in now, because inevitably we know that Ethereum has to make a change and actually remove the deflationary aspect of it. When that will happen, how that will happen, and to what extent will kind of be interesting to say the least. Most cryptocurrencies don't have a consensus mechanism or, of course, a monetary policy that shifts as much as Ethereum. Ethereum has changed its monetary policy drastically since its inception, and it's done so without any clear rules or guidelines, which has put it in a position of, from the miner's perspective back in the day, kind of kind of scummy, to be completely frank. And that's going to move on to the validators now. The validators can worry about that. They'll start to see how scummy it works out, and they can determine how they want to handle it. Of course, the difference between having proof of stake validators and miners here, which is going to be really interesting, is that the proof of stake validators have no ability to actually withdraw the ETH that they have now deposited. So at this time, no withdrawals are enabled. We're waiting on the Shanghai hard fork and the details for that. So even if anybody actually wanted to pull out because they weren't, making enough due to the change in monetary policy, they wouldn't be able to anyways. And that is kind of why we're seeing, I think, essentially a relatively stagnant price movement with Ethereum right now. And I think that will continue, and we might see a slow burn down for Ethereum over the next 6 months, depending on how all this shakes out. The idea was there from the start that Ethereum would eventually make the switch to proof of stake, but the transition was a complicated technical effort, an endeavor so risky that many doubted it would happen at all. And I do have to say this, I am extremely impressed that this was done as smooth as it was. The amount of things that could have gone wrong right off of the bat that didn't go wrong, from a technical perspective, it's actually quite a marvel that it was as successful as it was. And I think it'd be amiss to not actually mention that, right? Quote, there's a part of me which has been completely realized that this is actually happening, end quote, Drake said. I'm somewhat in denial, because I've trained myself to just expect it to happen in the future. The update's complexity was compounded by the fact that it may be one of the largest open source software endeavors in history, requiring coordination across dozens of teams and scores of individual researchers, developers, and volunteers. Tim Biko, an Ethereum Foundation developer who played a key role in coordinating the updates, said to Coindesk, I think the merge can genuinely get those people who were interested in Ethereum but skeptical of the environmental impacts to come and experiment with it. Now, of course, this is kind of an interesting concept. The idea is that there were people, a large majority of the population that was not hopping into Ethereum due to environmental impacts. I don't think that's true. I think that the overall adoption of Ethereum is impressive. It's more widely adopted than any other cryptocurrency on the planet, including Bitcoin. I think it's utilized more. It has more utility, NFT, DeFi, all that sort of stuff. I do not think there's a large segment of the population that was like, oh, I'm not touching Ethereum because of its environmental impact. I call BS on that. I don't think we're going to have a massive new influx of people on the Ethereum blockchain because all of a sudden now it's more environmentally friendly. No, the reason why Ethereum had a ton of adoption was because massive names were popping in and creating NFTs to sell to unwitting investors and then dump them on them when we hit a bear market. That's pretty much the reason why. And scam coins like Shiba Inu and all that sort of stuff, right? The memes, all of that, that is why. It's culture that surrounded Ethereum at the very end of the day that created essentially the ecosystem surrounding it, right? It was Ethereum being injected into the culture. That's what increased it. This whole idea that there's going to be some new influx of users, I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I'm sorry. But let's talk about the goodbye miners. In 2008, Bitcoin introduced the world to the idea of a decentralized ledger, a single immutable record of transactions that computers around the world could view, alter, and trust without need for intermediaries. Ethereum, introduced in 2015, expanded upon the core concepts of Bitcoin with smart contracts or computer programs that effectively use the blockchain as a global supercomputer, recording data onto its network. That innovation was the essential ingredient behind decentralized finance and NFTs, the main catalyst of the most recent crypto boom. The merge retires Ethereum's proof of work system, where crypto miners competed to write transactions to its ledger and earn rewards for doing so by solving cryptographic puzzles. Most crypto mining today happens in farms, though they may be more aptly described as factories. Picture massive warehouses lined with rows of computers stacked on top of one another like shelves of books at a university library. No, basically picture a data center. It's a data center. It's not a factory, right? Like for the most part, what you're looking at is, the same kind of gear you're going to be looking at if you looked at like a co-location facility, a data center, that sort of thing. I don't like this whole, it's confusing. It's not a lot of factory with like a factory line of people building stuff. There's not people sitting in there. It's an empty building with devoid of actual human life for the most part, of a bunch of, computers trying to work on sentience while solving cryptographic puzzles. Of course, I'm being a little facetious with the sentience part, but that's not impossible with, of course, proof of useful work in solving AI coming up here in the future, but we can talk about that in a different video. Most crypto mining today happens in farms, like they said. This system, which was pioneered by Bitcoin, is what caused Ethereum to guzzle so much energy and is responsible for fueling the blockchain sector's reputation as an environmental menace. Now, we could get into this argument over and over and over again. We beat this horse to death, I think, on this channel. I don't even know that I feel like getting into it. There's a huge difference between, environmental or energy consumption and energy waste. And I think that there's an argument that, and then if you apply economies of scale to it, I don't think that proof of stake solves this whatsoever. That's my humble opinion. Okay. That's where I'm at. Now, economies of scale would say that if there's potential to make money there, that it will and the requirement, of course, is energy, then the increase in energy will basically follow that if there's money to be made there. And it doesn't really matter if you're utilizing hard drives to mine or GPUs to mine, or utilizing, of course, server hardwares and VPSs to mine. The only really thing that will keep, of course, Ethereum in its position of remaining low is the barrier to entry. But barrier to entry is being alleviated, of course, by companies like Lido and Coinbase, which, of course, then we get into the argument of centralization, and the argument just keeps continuing on. We covered most of it yesterday. Highly recommend checking out multiple streams that we've been talking about this, I think, all week. I don't want to, bore you to death with it. We do have news to get into and look at new stuff here. So let's hop into it. Eddington, who began his career researching climate science before eventually landing in crypto, understood where his daughter's coming from. Rightfully or wrongfully, she had absorbed very toxic environmental narrative, he said. I mean, it's kind of hard to defend stickers for grown-ups that emit, by some estimates, a megaton of carbon dioxide a week. Of course, I did see this narrative popping around like TikTok for a long time. If you guys aren't aware, there was a huge kind of pushback on NFTs, kind of from the, the Gen Z, the younger crowd that was saying, essentially NFTs themselves are destroying the environment. We're storing NFTs on the blockchain. The only thing, would be, I guess, like the trading of the NFTs. Sure. I'd have to really dive into that one. I think the same arguments that we have, with, proof of stake versus proof of work and its environmental impact applies to the NFT space as well. I think when you get carried away on TikTok getting a 10-second kind of clip, this is where, his daughter's getting that information from. So they say goodbye. They didn't really actually talk about the miners, There seems to be a complete, everybody is ignoring the impact of crypto miners right now, except for the markets. And we'll talk about that here in a second. But everything but the markets is ignoring the crypto miners. But all of us, don't worry about it. If you're a crypto miner, don't worry about it, because the market's still paying attention to you. We'll see that in a second, okay? Ethereum's new system, proof of stake, does away with mining entirely. Miners are replaced by validators, people who stake at least 32 ETH by sending them to an address on the Ethereum network where they cannot be bought or sold. These staked ETH tokens act like lottery tickets. The more ETH a validator stakes, the more likely one of its tickets will be drawn, granting the ability to write a block of transactions to Ethereum's digital ledger. I do not like the description of this at all, because each node still requires exactly 32 ETH to be deposited. Sure, if you have essentially, two nodes with 32 ETH, then you're ahead of the game or whatnot. But it's not like it's not as similar to Chia in this particularly, and this is a technical argument that we have to get into later, but it's not like you can have a node with 32 ETH or 33 ETH. At this time, you have 32 ETH per node, so you have to build essentially. Once again, we get into economies of scale. You want to earn more ETH. You want to have more potential. You got to have 64 ETH. But not only that, you have to add the additional processing power for that additional 32 ETH. Okay, so you're building that into a cloud hosted service provider like Azure, AWS, Google, whatever it may be. You have to add that in. This is kind of a miss as far as like. You're not going to go from 32 ETH to 33 ETH and then get a little, fraction. You don't get that kind of satisfaction here. Ethereum introduced a proof of stake network in 2020 called the Beacon Chain, but until the merge, it was just a staging area for validators to get set up for the switch. Ethereum's transition to proof of stake involved merging with the Beacon Chain and Ethereum's main network. According to Beco, the energy consumption of proof of stake is not even a rounding error in terms of environmental impact. Proof of stake is like running an app on your MacBook, he said. It's like running Slack. So it's like running Google Chrome or Netflix. Obviously, your MacBook plugs into the wall and uses electricity to run, but no one thinks about the environmental impact of running Slack, right? But are you amiss to that, right? Because obviously the application you're running does specifically, of course, relate to the amount of power. I get what he's saying here, though. You're not really worried about Slack and its use of power. So you're not really worried about the nodes that are running and its use of power if you're looking at it from the outside in. But the real question is, how efficient are, how efficient are these cloud hosted service providers when they're, essentially running these nodes? That does become a question that you have, right? What is the difference between waste and non-waste? Well, as a miner, just to give you guys an idea, it's impossible to waste your processing power, because if your miner is not on the network, the miner's not getting paid out. Okay. However, contrary to that, if you're in proof of stake and you're running in a virtual private server, well, a virtual private server always has another one backing up that's running but not actually processing anything. Hence, you have processing waste. This is that other part of the environmental impact that gets ignored a lot, right? Eddington pointed out that the environmental impact of the merge upgrade as a benefit, he is personally the most excited about. I feel very proud, that I'll be able to look back and say that I have a role to play in removing a megaton of carbon from the atmosphere every week. That's something that meaningful affects my family and others, he said. The hard part about this, though, too, is it completely ignores the incentive for miners to move to renewable energy. And now without that incentive of a burgeoning new industry, which is crypto mining, a lot of money gets pulled out of research and development for renewable energy. So all you're really doing is actually, at the end of the day, kind of holding back innovation by misaligning your incentives. And I think that is another argument that we miss every single time here, right? It's every single society's progress has always been aligned with their ability to utilize energy efficiently. Now, we could also even go into pulling, we could pull information from writings from Marx in regard to capitalism and its relation to innovation and how that all works together. I've actually gone into depth in this multiple times before. I definitely highly recommend going through some of my other videos to understand these concepts. But without an industry to spur on innovation, innovation doesn't happen. So now what happens is you just end up having an electricity grid that has no reason to actually innovate and gets stuck on old, environmentally unfriendly forms of producing energy like coal, with no incentive to move up. But, they do say they have incentives here for Ethereum. Rather than a single piece of open software, the Ethereum network is better understood as a nation state, a kind of living organism that comes together when a bunch of computers talk to one another in the same language, all following identical set of rules. Ethereum's new system introduces a set of incentives for people operating these computers to follow the rules as written, thereby securing the ledger from an unwanted tampering. Proof of work is a mechanism by which you take physical resources and you convert them into security for the network. If you want your network to be more secure, you need more of those physical resources, Biko explained. We've talked about why this actually impacts the price of cryptocurrency. And this is seen in the halving of Bitcoin. For the uninitiated, the halving of Bitcoin is the reduction of the reward. That block reward we talked about earlier in the show is the reduction of the block reward that gets paid out to the miners. Well, every 4 years on Bitcoin, it's cut in half. And we can actually see the impact of this on the markets as what happens every 4 years. Well, the price of Bitcoin goes up. So if we talk about proof of work in the mechanism and basically how it interacts with the markets, it's very clear that the physical resource of the energy that is being put into minting the new cryptocurrency is directly related to the price. So if you reduce the physical resource amount to actually produce the new crypto, what happens? Well, you end up having no value in that crypto. So what does that end up doing? How do they prevent that? Well, they remove the block reward, right? So that is why Ethereum at this point has removed the block reward, is because if they had a block reward in there, that tie to the physical resource would be worth nothing. So they have to go deflationary to make Ethereum worth anything at this point after the move to proof of stake. Do you guys see how manipulating that monetary policy is very important for Ethereum in this move and transition to proof of stake? You can't allow people to remove or unstake, because if you do that, then you're going to have the proof of stake system collapse. You can go watch my video with Marty from ErgoPad to understand more about that. And you can't have a minting process of new currency coming into the market that is tied to a physical resource that is worth very, very little. Okay. That is kind of the entire understanding of why they decided to remove that block reward and why they decided to implement EIP 1559 ahead of the move to proof of stake to make Ethereum deflationary. Proof of work is a mechanism by which you take, so there we go. Although Ethereum had thousands of individual miners operating and securing its proof of work network, computers from just 3 mining pools dominated a majority of the network's hash rate, a measure of the collective computing power of all miners. So what they're going to talk about here is a 51% attack and, of course, a centralization of hash power. But you need to understand the difference between a centralization of hash power and an actual centralization of hash power. Okay, so geographical restrictions, geographical location applies here. The individual that controls the actual hardware still applies here, and this is going to get contentious. I'm going to disagree with them on here because I already can read ahead. If a few of Ethereum's big mining firms colluded to amass the majority of the network's hash rate, they would have been able to execute a so-called 51% attack, making it difficult or impossible for anyone else to update that ledger. However, you still have individual self-interest at play here. There are still individuals controlling the hardware that could move their systems or move their rigs, their physical hardware, off of a single pool entity, okay? Now, they say here in proof of stake, the amount of ETH one stakes, not the amount of energy one expends, dictates control over the network. Okay, proof of stake boosters say this makes attacks more expensive and self-defeating. Attackers can have their stake fees slashed or reduced as a punishment for trying to harm the network. Except, what do we run into here that ends up being an issue? You still have single entities controlling the majority of it. The problem is now, of course, that single entity actually controls it all, right? Lido, for example, controlling majority of the staked Ethereum because the regular Joe can't afford to actually build his own node. So Lido controls all of the nodes, right? and they can pretty much perform an attack if they decide to collude on it, and there's nothing anybody can do because the person that actually went in and bought the ST that then Lido is staking can't actually physically really withdraw that ETH. So they can't pull that stake out. They can't repoint their nodes. They can't take the control of the node back, right? Not your node, not your consensus. That's pretty much how this plays out, right? Not everyone buys into the proof of stake hype. There are no signs that Bitcoin, for instance, will ever abandon proof of work, which proponents insist remains one of the more battle-tested and secure systems. And although control of the Ethereum network will no longer be concentrated in the hands of a few publicly traded mining syndicates, critics insist that old power players will just be replaced by new ones. Lido, a kind of community-run validator collective, controls over 30% of the stake on Ethereum's proof of stake chain, like I said. Coinbase, Kraken, and Binance, three of the largest crypto exchanges, own another 30% of the network stake. Skepticism around proof of stake fueled Chandler Go, a prominent crypto miner, to announce in the lead up to the merge that he would launch a fork of Ethereum's old proof of work chain, a clone of Ethereum's blockchain that hums along using the old miner-based mechanism. Now, we'll talk about this too in a second. There's a lot going on today. I hope I have enough time to cover it all. Ethereum's core developers have generally derided proof of work forks as sideshows and scams, but Go's ETH POW effort, or ETHW as we now know it to be, and others like it have gained modest traction in certain corners of the crypto community. Here's the thing. The fact of the matter is ETHW is not killing it right now. Their RPC is down. Apparently the drops have happened, but for the most part, if you're in an exchange that was going to support the drop, they're not seeing it. And if you're trying to connect your MetaMask to the network, it's not actually happening. So end of the day, frankly, ETHW is not off to a great start right now. They had their little countdown timer to look cool. It hit 0 and everything's still broke. So, you know, what can you expect from Chandler Go though? It's not really surprising to me. In the crypto markets, the merge had become an object of speculation since at least mid-July, with traders initially viewing the event as a catalyst for a steep rally in price of Ethereum. The market for ETH options started pricing in post-merge gains, a welcome respite following the crash in digital asset markets earlier this year. The prospect of a fork of Ethereum blockchain by irate crypto miners spurred a wave of new activity, this time as traders tried to lock in value from the theoretical airdrop of a new ETH proof-of-work token. In general, it is impossible to predict with certainty how the markets will react to the successful merge. The upgrade has been on Ethereum's roadmap since its inception, so there is the possibility that it has already, by and large, been priced in by the market. I think if you asked me maybe about 3 weeks ago, I would say that not only is it priced in, it's overly priced in, said Kevin Zhou of Galios Capital. Now the market is roughly 70-30 in favor of this being a positive event for ETH. So what's next? This is the first step in Ethereum's big journey towards being a very mature system, but there are still steps left to go, said Vitalik Buterin, Ethereum's co-creator, as he reflected on the merge during Thursday's viewing party. He went on to mention Ethereum's relatively high fees and slow speeds, which were not addressed by the update, but remains as much a barrier to growing the network's user base as the environmental concerns ever were. At least Vitalik acknowledges, the Ethereum devs have acknowledged, the fact that this merge has, when they moved away from the naming scheme of ETH 2.0, they acknowledged that, this didn't solve anything at all, right? It didn't solve scalability and it didn't solve fees. And it was weird that even running up all the way to the merge, a lot of media outlets, a lot of large crypto media outlets were still considering this ETH 2.0. I mean, even to the fact to where some people were trying to call out Charles Hoskinson for saying that ETH 2.0 wouldn't come until at least 2023 or probably 2024. And guess what? He's still correct. It's just people don't actually understand the technical underpinnings of what happened here, which is all it is a change in the consensus mechanism from proof of work to proof of stake, changing nothing else. At best case, we have reduced, of course, the carbon emissions of mining cryptocurrency. Buterin, Ethereum's most visible figurehead, previously outlined a set of next steps for the network that includes sharding, a method that should help address the network's sluggish transaction times and high fees by spreading transactions across shards, like adding lanes to a highway. Now, this is old as well. We're aware that sharding has now been replaced with dank sharding, the dumbest name I've ever known, but I understand that dank sharding comes from apparently the guy that created dank sharding. I'm pretty sure sharding has been pushed to the side completely. I'll go into more depth and actually do some more research and make sure that is up to date, because apparently they're attributing this statement to Buterin, but sharding, to my knowledge, is done. We're going to be focused on ZK rollups and some sort of integration of dank sharding that will include some form of ZK rollups. Now, ZK rollups, basically, to give you guys an idea, is a separate chain or a side chain or a layer 2 solution. Could be either or a combination of both, depending on the project, right? Polygon, Arbitrum, Optimism as examples of these projects, where they can bundle transactions and submit them to Ethereum to basically speed it up. This is kind of how they deal with the scalability issue surrounding Ethereum right now. And so if you are looking at who's actually going to be solving these things, it is important to understand from an investor standpoint, if that's what you're into, what you're looking at, really, what you really want to be looking at is Polygon, Arbitrum, Optimism. These are the things that are going to solve scalability, and it would be, if you're interested in investing in that type of thing, that would be the type of thing you'd be investing in. Obviously not financial advice from my point of view. I'm pointing you in the proper direction of what solves scalability for Ethereum, okay? That upgrade was initially slated to accompany the transition to proof of stake, but it was deprioritized given the success that third-party solutions called rollups have had in solving some of the same issues. We called this already out and talked about it. For Buterin, the merge is just the beginning. He says, quote, "To me, the merge just symbolizes the difference between early stage Ethereum and Ethereum we've always wanted to become," he said on Thursday in the live stream. "So let's go build all of the other parts of the ecosystem and turn Ethereum into what we want it to be." Of course, what Ethereum Foundation and what, Vitalik wants Ethereum to be may not be what the world needs or what the rest of the population actually wants cryptocurrency to be. If we look at all the problems, we discussed them in depth here on the channel, all week. So go in, take a look at them. But, you have the scaling problem, you still have the fee problem, you have the energy waste problem, you have the censorship problem. All of these things are still coming into play, and you need to be very aware of them. Now, who mined the last block of basically of the proof of work Ethereum? This is kind of cool. I actually thought it was Ethermine when we looked at it last night, but apparently it was F2 Pool that mined the last one. The miner used almost 30 million Gwei to pay for the transaction. Crypto miner F2 Pool mined the last ever block of proof of work Ethereum as the network shifted to proof of stake consensus system early Thursday morning. The last Ether block before the merge was 155 million. Wait, did I do that right? 15,537,393. F2 Pool paid some 29,991,429 Gwei, the smallest unit of Ether, as gas fees for the transaction. The miner included the message in the Mandarin block, which translates to colorful anglefish F. I guess F. F's in chat for Ethereum, guys. F's in chat for Ethereum. F2 Pool did not immediately respond to requests for comment. The miner, which was founded in 2013, was one of the earliest Bitcoin mining pools. After the merge, new blocks on the Ethereum network continued to produce as normal and without any hiccups, and Ethereum traded flat after the merge. As you can see right now, Ethereum is actually down by 5%. So there you go, is F2 Pool. Thanks for getting the F's in chat. I'd love to see some more F's in chat for Ethereum here. That is, or at least Ethereum proof of work. Oh, it's done. So we actually have this ETHW thing coming in. The timing was posted, and they said the fork will occur 24 hours following the merge, but it's not really looking good. Ethereum's proof of work fork will occur 24 hours following the merge, according to the thread posted Monday on the Ethereum POW Twitter feed. The thread did not specify a precise time, saying this information would be announced 1 hour before launch with a countdown timer. The merge is expected to take place on Thursday. Everything including final code, binaries, config files, nodes info, RPC, Explorer, etc. will be made public when the time's up, the thread said. The ETHW mainnet will begin at the block height of the merge block plus 248 empty blocks. To give you an idea, this does mean that you are looking at a pre-mine, sort of. These are apparently going into the EIP 1559 contract because, yes, a burn is not really a burn. There's a contract that holds all the ETH. Now, in theory, there's no way to get that ETH out with the EIP 1559 contract, but they're going to be using this EIP 1559 contract for Coindesk or not for Coindesk, sorry, for ETHW to actually store burn the first 2048 blocks. Okay. There is some questions surrounding, like, is this a pre-mine? Is it not a pre-mine? I don't think it's a pre-mine, but it is a burning. It is a manipulation to a certain extent. Okay. So the reason they're doing that is because they want the chain to convert to the 10,001 and that chain ID, because if they kept the same chain ID as Ethereum, it would break everything, right? So they have to change the chain ID. So keep that in mind as we move into this. Merge block 2049 will be the first one to note any transactions on ETHW. Block rewards for the empty blocks will be directed to the 1559 multi-sig wallet. Like I said, the thread said. The merge is a technological overhaul of the Ethereum blockchain that will shift its protocol from proof of work to proof of stake. We're aware of that. Here's the thing that's going on. This needs to go down here. Here's the thing that's going on. So they released this ETHW mainnet info and the network name, all this stuff. I tried to connect to it. I can't connect to it. I will stay up to date. Once I connect to it, I'll try to release a guide. Now, today is Thursday. Thursday is my busiest day ever. The wife goes to work, or actually to like yoga training. I got to take care of both the kids. I will be struggling to get all this information out to you guys. But if you guys have successful connections to the ETHW mainnet, let me know. Links are down in the chat with Twitter. Thanks all the way too with the F's in chat. So if you want to connect to it, get your free ETHW and shoot that off to PoloNex to make an extra few bucks. You know, go for it. You know, I don't think there's anything wrong with like taking the free cash. And then from the miner's perspective, I don't think there's anything wrong with mining and, you know, taking the free transaction fees from the people that are taking advantage of an extra free token. Okay. Look, you can call it a scam. You can do all you want as far as that, you know, it's kind of one of those weird situations where I just say, go get your bag because it's there. You might as well take the bag. All right. Like there's no reason not to take the bag. Just take the bag, bro. Take the bag and get out. Okay. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying, bro. Now, 2Miners apparently is going to be releasing a pool for it. Ethereum proof of work, ETHW mining. Currently, we are waiting for the ETHW devs to release their node software, and there are no working ETHW pools at the moment. They say, no panic, please. As soon as we get the node, we will start to deploy the pools, and they will inform you when everything is ready. So 2Miners, one of the largest altcoin mining pools in existence, will be doing that. So there you go as far as that is concerned. It's crazy though. Like, so if we start to look at the networks, we start to, well, first of all, let's talk about the dip, right? Elephant in the room. We have ETH move to proof of stake and it takes us blah. It doesn't go up. Everybody's like, oh, a successful merge, ETH is going to go up. It didn't. Now, of course, the rest of the market is down too. We'd be amiss to completely ignore that. At least most of the market. Interestingly enough, the ones that are holding the best, which is hilarious, is guess what? Kind of the GPU mineable altcoins are holding the best. And that's kind of funny. But you know what's not holding up good? ETH. It does fall below 1,500 as over $150 million is liquidated in 24 hours. And guess what? You still can't unstake. And they even had it locked for a period of time in most exchanges. So even with the lockup periods on exchanges and the fact that a majority of people that have it staked can't actually unstake it, it still dropped. So even though ETH has manipulated the monetary policy as hard as they can, they still couldn't stop it from dropping. Over 60 million ETH has been liquidated in less than an hour, creating a downward pressure that dragged the rest of the altcoin market with it. In the past 24 hours, liquidations exceeded $150 million. The largest liquidation candle in a month wiped out most of the gains Ethereum posted following the merge. Following its transition to proof-of-stake network, Ethereum touched $1,640 in what many believed would be the beginning of a rally. However, aggressive liquidation pushed its price below $1,500, with ETH standing at around $1,480 as of press time. Over $60 million in ETH has been liquidated in less than an hour, creating downward pressure on the rest of the altcoin market. In the past 24 hours, liquidations exceeded $150 million. According to data from Coindesk, around $77 million in liquidations occurred on OKEX, while FTX stands second with around $40 million in ETH liquidations in the past 24 hours. The majority of liquidations were longs. Around $98.6 million in longs were liquidated in the past 24 hours. And that is pretty telling. Longs being liquidated post-merge is quite interesting. While the market has only seen about 48.3 million in shorts liquidated. The massive losses weren't exclusive to Ethereum. The rest of the crypto market took a hit. And like I said, we would be amiss if we didn't acknowledge this. Of course, Bitcoin has dropped below 20K. But while most saw losses that didn't exceed a few percent, Ethereum saw its price decrease by over 7.5%. That's much higher. If you look at the rest of the market, yes, the percentage points that are being dropped on like Bitcoin is much lower than actually Ethereum here. It's still too early to tell what caused the massive liquidations. Some believe that they could have been a result of speculation surrounding the merge. Others believe that the broader market uncertainty could have caused them. The traditional market saw an equally unexpected crash in the past several hours, with stocks and indexes dropping after days of relative stability. No, it hasn't been stable. I mean, we know what this is coming from. It's coming from the CPI reports that were much higher than people expected. And next week, I mean, most people, we're kind of going into the weekend right now. And it is expected that we're going to see a 100 BPS hike up next week, meaning that most people are expecting, a huge impact to interest rates next week. So of course the rest of the market is starting to pull out, right? We talked to Tech Yes City last night during the merge, and he's saying get into a cash position. What is the mindset of majority of people right now? The mindset of a majority of people that are not in cryptocurrency, right? Not like, hardcore into cryptocurrency, that sort of thing. Their mindset is get into a cash position. That is what mindset they are in right now. Okay. We can't ignore that. That is what's happening. Okay. The two leaders met. So they say the ongoing volatility could be a reaction to the meeting in Russia, Russian President Vladimir Putin had with Xi Jinping, the president of China. The two leaders met in Uzbekistan earlier today to discuss global and regional stability following Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Of course, also we'd be amiss here if we didn't talk about BRICS and the competing reserve currency to the US dollar. So, pull out and what? Put my money into the US dollar while Russia and China are colluding with Saudi Arabia to have a competitor to the reserve currency? Yeah, that sounds like a good idea too. In my humble opinion, you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't, no matter where you put your money right now. So that's, I'm going to, personally, not financial advice, I'm just going to chill in cryptocurrency, because why not at this point? That's how I feel about it. But there you go. Ethereum did crash. It didn't go up. But, that's not necessarily true. All right. Let's make sure we're back. Sorry about that. Are we back? Are we back? Back in the saddle again. We're back. Getting DDoS by Russia and China and BRICS right now is what they're like, careful, he's exposing the plan of the competing reserve currency. Shut him down. Shut him down. Nah, I don't know what happened. We had an internet blip there. All right, so we were talking about Ethereum's price drop And we were then going to show you guys essentially what's happening with the rest of the proof of work currencies, because this is extremely important to take a look at, okay? So I have a list of what I would call like the most popular proof of work currencies right now, kind of listed out here. I know that there's some others. We could talk about them. I can add some coins here, maybe like Neoxa, some smaller ones, right? We could add Neoxa. And we could add Beam, maybe, right? Beam was one that pumped yesterday. And then we could look at the 24-hour change. Erg is actually up 7% over the past 24 hours. So it's the complete inverse of Ethereum. Ethereum loses 7.5% and Ergo gains 8%. Maybe GPU miners do have an influence. Maybe. Caspa is up 5.21%. Ethereum Classic is up 0.34%. And it took on a bunch of the stuff. Now, what isn't performing well? Flux down 5.44%. Ravencoin down 20%. Beam down 23%. Neoxa down 33%. What are we understanding here? We're starting to understand the networks, the people what are we starting to understand here? We're starting to understand where the GPU miners are going. That's what we're starting to understand here, okay? Which is very relevant. Now, why does that also matter? Well, if we look at the network, we had 750 terahash mined through the merge. Only another 150 terahash really moved over. In a tweet from MeanHash, which I highly recommend following on Twitter, @MeanHash, he says, so the ETH hash shakeout is stabilizing. And it looks like at least 600 terahash of ETH network was ASICs. It could have been as high as 700 terahash. It's tough to say. The peak ET hash rate was about 900 terahash. And most of the ASIC hash rate just decided to turn off because there's no viable options for them to mine. ETC could not sustain that much hash rate, although they are at 240 terahash right now. It also looks like the majority of GPU hash rate on the ET hash was older AMD GPUs, and it seems they all shifted to Prog POW variants to try to keep mining. Most won't be able to continue based on profitability. And I've said this, of course, Polaris GPUs are completely effed at this point. You might as well turn them off. I turned all mine off. I would assume large farms will probably have to close shop in the near future, especially if they were using ASICs to complement their GPU mining, or if that had not upgraded hardware for a few years. However, this is actually good for many of the projects that will remain profitable or become profitable again. And this is the thing that is actually positive. We essentially have a bunch of hash rate, that didn't move. We have a bunch of hash rate that came off of Ethereum, essentially 700 terahash, 750 terahash here that moved over. It's looking like 600 terahash of that was essentially ASICs. And if we look at like the increase in hash rate, yes, we did go from 60 terahash a second to 267 terahash a second. But that's not everything that came off of Ethereum, right? Everything that came off Ethereum was 750 terahash yesterday, minus the 200, not even 267. It's basically got 200 terahash, right? We still have, essentially 500 terahash unaccounted for. We could say, okay, well, a lot of that moved over to Ergo too, right? Because Ergo definitely had a pump. Ergo went up to 203 terahash a second. Remember, this is basically an ETH hash rate for Ergo, that's half. So 100 terahash a second from ETH moved over to Ergo. So we take out, from the 750 yesterday, we take out another 100 terahash. You still got about 450 terahash laying around, and it doesn't seem to really translate to every other coin, right? We look at Ravencoin. I mean, we did see a pump in the hash rate, but not a lot. You basically double this. So it would be about, let's see. So from 10 terahash to 20 terahash, you're talking about 20 terahash of ETH hash rate. So, that's negative, another 30 terahash. That's still, we're still, missing 420 terahash. Where did that 420 terahash go? Well, we could say, okay, well, maybe Flux, right? So we look at flux, right? We go from let's say 4 mega solutions a second to 6 mega solutions a second. That's 2 mega solutions a second. And let me think about this one. This one really translates into about double ETH. So, I mean, I'm trying to do the math. I can do all the other conversions pretty easy in my head. This one takes a little bit. So that's really only 4 terahash. So it's nothing. 416 terahash now, still unaccounted for. I mean, at the end of the day, what it looks like is we have 416 terahash that just shut off. It shut the off and it's not coming back, I don't think. And the fact of the matter is that's good news for all of the GPU miners, especially the small ones. What kind of firms can't move? Hut 8 can't move, right? Firms like this are not going to be able to move a majority of their hash rate. So, about half of the hash rate right now that was on Ethereum is completely shut down. The 200 terahash out of the 600 terahash that was ASICs appears to have moved to Ethereum Classic, not being very profitable there. So let's go ahead and get into GPU mining profitability though, of course. And I want to say thanks everybody once again for all the support. This is the most concurrent viewers the crypto show, mining show has ever had. So if you enjoy this type of content, make sure you hit the like, comment, subscribe, and share the video out. Obviously we're running off the high of the post merge and everybody is interested in what's going on. But if we can even retain a third of this through the rest of the bear market, I would be ecstatic. I appreciate all the support, guys. It means a lot. And like I said, hopefully I can be a mouthpiece for the community as we move on. But let's get into GPU mining profitability right after a word from today's sponsor. Please check out the sponsor and show them that, you support the channel. Today's sponsor is Crypto.com. Crypto.com is my go-to centralized exchange for liquidating my crypto assets. With their Crypto.com Visa debit card, I can load up my mined Ethereum to pay for power and other operating costs. In addition to the Visa debit card, there are additional fiat options, including wire transfers, to easily receive your profits. Crypto.com also offers additional services, including trading and even staking to earn additional revenue on your investments. Join 10 million plus users buying and selling 100 plus cryptocurrencies at true cost by using my affiliate link in the description for a $25 funding bonus. Or enter referral code SOAT at sign up for the same bonus. Remember, cryptocurrency investment comes with significant risks, so do your own research. All right, so I'm going to tell you guys what we did yesterday over on Twitch, which if you don't know, I do streams over on Twitch and they're much more laid back, and I talk to the, everybody in chat because chat's a little bit easier to get through. It's a different type of format. So if you would like a more chill, laid back type of format, check me out on Twitch at twitch.tv/blindrun. I'll put the link down in the description and in chat here a little bit later when we get to Q&A. What I did yesterday was preemptively, so I didn't have to worry about Hive going down, all that sort of stuff, is I went ahead and managed my rigs. I shut all of the RX 5000 series down, and then I shut down all the 10 series GPUs as well. Now, the only 20 series GPUs I have are 2080 Ti's, and they actually do really well on what I'm mining, so I left them on. So the 2000 series GPUs, the 6000 series GPUs, which is AMD, and the 3000 series GPUs, I moved all of those over to Caspa. Now, that ended up paying off. I think yesterday we did $296 in mining rewards, mining to my own node on Caspa with basically half of the hash rate normal. So we actually did 300% on the farm compared to what we normally would do. And it's just amazing. So I just checked today. Yesterday we started out at $4,100. Today we're at $4,396. So $296 in Caspa. It played out really well for me, luckily. Now, we're going to have to see how this translates here moving forward, okay? Because obviously now that we've talked about Caspa on a stream with 7,000 concurrent viewers yesterday and 1,400 concurrent viewers today, I highly doubt that this is going to continue on Caspa. But if you want, an advantage on these types of coins, build your own node. The thing that I'm doing here is that I built my own node, right? I am mining to my own node and doing that, right? So that's currently what we're at. Like I said, ended up doing 300% of what we would have done if we would have stayed on Ethereum yesterday. So I'm pretty happy with the move, and that's with half of the farm. Now, is that going to continue? Well, it's the same question as are the amount of concurrent viewers that we have right now going to continue as well? Yes, I made one good move. One lucky move. Okay. So, I made one good move. I let you guys know the move I was making over on Twitch. So those that were lucky enough to catch it and rode this little nice ride with me here over the past 24 hours, cool. If you didn't make it, I'm sorry. Can I promise this is going to continue? Probably not. My inkling is this is not going to continue. But I'm going to be getting out there in the farm once I've kicked the pneumonia fully, which I think we have a few more days left on antibiotics and all that stuff. Once it's fully kicked, I'll be out there at the farm working, getting stuff cleaned up, going over our ultrasonic cleaners, all our setups for that and that sort of thing. The only other thing that I did was I moved my V1 Mini over to Ethereum Classic Solo over on etc.solopool.org. It hasn't found the block, so, whatever. Do I expect it to find a block? Probably not, and the blocks probably won't be worth that much. So, it is what it is. But, yeah, there you go. So let's go ahead and talk about, profitability on the RTX 3090. Let's correct the ZIL hash. Let's correct the POW, PROG-POW, Firo proof of work, and of course the K heavy hash is corrected here and is now on what to mine. So if we calculate that out, it puts Xano in first, of course, with the recent difficulty pump thing. People are profit switching. This is going to be happening a lot with the profit switchers, so pay attention to that. $1.29 a day in revenue and 50 cents a day after power. Caspa comes in second at $1.28 a day in revenue and 46 cents a day after power. Ergo comes in third at $1.25 a day in revenue and 63 cents a day after power. Flux comes in at $1.17 a day in revenue and 47 cents a day after power. Ryo comes in at $1.12 a day in revenue and 50 cents a day after power. Conceal comes in at $1.09 a day in revenue and 47 cents a day after power. Cero comes in at $1.03 a day in revenue and 24 cents a day after power. Bitcoin Z comes in at $1.01 a day in revenue and 32 cents a day after power. And VerusCoin comes in at $1.01 a day in revenue and 41 cents a day after power. Now, to be extremely clear here, we got to scroll down to get to Ravencoin and a few of these, right? And Ravencoin's 2 cents a day after power, and that's with the adjusted hash rate, the corrected one. You want to take a look at Ethereum Classic? Well, Ethereum Classic is dead for GPUs. At 10 cents a kilowatt hour, which is pretty low, you are at basically losing 20 cents a day. And so you really have to have ASICs if you want to be competitive on Ethereum Classic. And it's pretty clear that even with ASICs, Ethereum Classic is probably going to be unviable here without some sort of super increase in price. Now, is GPU mining still profitable? Technically, yes, right? But you got to play the game smart. And one of the things is like I said, with this Caspa thing, I got a little lucky with it. Right now, it is also showing, but it's on what to mine. It's about to get hammered. And the thing is luckily, Caspa allows you to mine old blocks, which means that if you build your own node, you have an advantage. I would not touch Caspa with a 10-foot pole unless I had my own node infrastructure. And I'm just going to tell you guys another thing that you probably want to pay attention to there is you probably want to use a miner that's allowing you to do node plus TCP, because you do not want to have issues with the stratum, which means you don't want to be utilizing lolMiner and the likes. Now, what I like to see here, of course, is our top 3 coins are still profitable. Did we call it on this channel? Do we have our finger on the pulse of the GPU mineable coins? And I would say, as a community, at being the mouthpiece for this GPU mining community, I would say, yes, we did have our finger correctly on the pulse. Our top 3 are here. Maybe not exactly in the order, right? But we got Caspa in first place, Ergo in second place, and Flux in third place. this is looking good. It is clear that also what we are seeing with the price increases, etc., on these coins, that GPU miners do have an influence over it. Will everybody be profitable? No. Are you going to have to shut off? Yes. Will it eventually shake out and you'll be able to be profitable again? You know, I can't predict the future, but I feel like eventually, yes, you will be able to. So there is light at the end of the tunnel. If you are in a position that, you know, your power consumption is over, for example, I think like 20 cents a kilowatt hour, you know, you're at a loss. Yes. What about 15 cents a kilowatt hour, right? Which is pretty low, pretty average. 15 cents a kilowatt hour, you're still technically in the profit, albeit by very, very little. So, you know, I think right now I'm at 14.5 cents a kilowatt hour after all of the additional fees. Like I said, this is kind of where we're at. We're going to play this game. Do not, under any circumstances right now, play the profit switching hopping game, because if you play the profit switching hopping game, you're playing it with everybody else. And when it pulls the API data and profit switches, you'll profit switch with everybody else and you'll be unprofitable with everybody else. Pick a coin here and stick to it. Build your own node for it. You know, really at this point, this is where you start supporting the networks. This is where you start getting into the discourse. This is where you start learning more about cryptocurrency as a miner. And I highly encourage that. That's where we want to be at. Okay. Now, let's go ahead and look once again at the hash rates for everything. We will still look at Bitcoin today. We haven't looked at Bitcoin. It's actually interesting. It's at 246 exahash a second. So it is starting to go up. We can kind of start to see it increase here on Foundry Digital. Like we said, what we were expecting with Bitcoin on hash rate was an increase in the hash rate as we move into the winter months. We're no longer on a hash rate schedule of China and the rainy season in Sichuan. We're in the winter summer cycle for hash rate in the US, and that is proving out to be true. So that is pretty interesting. Of course, Bitcoin is now up over the past 7 days still for 3%. So that's good. And you see here, we just had a big difficulty adjustment, and that is due to, of course, everything moving into the winter months, right? So that's kind of where we're at as far as that goes. Also, save your super chats and everything. I do want to make sure I get to all of them. Please save them for the Q&A. We got that coming here in just a second. Now, Ethereum, of course, proof of work is over. We still technically have 100 terahash of some hopeful miners still just plugging along there. They have not turned off. Ethereum Classic has gone up to 266 terahash a second. It's sitting at a 3.67% gain over the past 7 days. And then if we look at Flux, we're looking at 5.86 mega solutions a second. We did just look at this, but it is down almost 10% over the past 7 days. If we look at Ravencoin, I believe Ravencoin's another one that went down today, but look at this. Over the past 7 days, it is up 58%, and the hash rate is up to 20 terahash a second. Now we could look at Neoxa as well. And we are at 2.17 terahash a second. Some hash rate is dropping off. It's also down about 10% over the past 7 days. If we take a look at Ergo, we are at 208 terahash a second. It is up 1.26% over the past 7 days, and the difficulty has now skyrocketed. Your profitability on Ergo is going to continue to go down. And the good news is that transaction block time processing is speeding up. So there is a positive note there. And then if we take a look at Kaspa, we are looking at a 3% gain over the past 7 days, and we are at 94 terahash a second. We had an increase of the hash rate here recently. but not by much, right? Very, very low increase in hash rate compared to the rest of the networks. So there you go. Let's go ahead and look at mining profitability for the past day on Ethereum Classic. You have ZET in first, Crazy Pool in second, Ethermine in third. And ASIC mining profitability, let's go ahead and snap into there. iPolo V1 is saying in first place, but I don't think that this is actually inaccurate at all. So we'll kind of have to see what goes on here. We are showing the V1 Classic at $19 a day on Ethereum Classic. But if we really look at it, it's actually $478 a day. This is all off right now, right? For now, we're going to have to wait and see how this shakes out. Antminer L7 is down about $3 a day to $17.01 a day. Of course, mining scripts. And then the KD6 is still, it actually dropped below $7 a day at $6.87 a day in revenue. And then if we scroll down, the KD5 is looking real bad at $3.62 a day. And if we look at the S19 Pro, we're under $3 a day at $2.75 a day. Of course, that is because as we move into the winter months, more larger firms are turning on more hash rate. Now let's get into questions and answers for the day. Remember, super chats are never required. Always appreciated, first to be answered because they're the easiest to read and they support the channel. And obviously, to keep the channel running, I need y'all's support because that's where we're at. If you want to support me directly, the best way is through sonofatech.locals.com. You can check it out in the pinned comment. And it is free to become a member over there. It's the best way to keep up with everything that I'm releasing. I stream multiple times a day on multiple different platforms. I post all of that over on sonofatech.locals.com, and becoming a member is free. And I'm trying to hit our goal of basically 800 members. And currently, you know, we have over 1,500 viewers in the live stream. So I don't see why you guys couldn't get us over that 800 member goal. It's free to sign up. Go to sonofatech.locals.com. Break the 800 member goal over on locals.com. That would be amazing. Thank you guys. And then basically, yeah, it's our little version of my free cams or whatever that. What is that? What is the other one? What is the new one the kids do these days? What's the new my free cams the kids do these days? It's my version of that. It's all cryptocurrency in the raw. Crypto in the raw. Hardcore crypto. Adult only crypto. No, that's too far. All right, we tried. All right, so let's go ahead and get into this. I have Ignatius, $10 super chat, says WTO what the mine is reporting over double the profitability for Ergo from what the pool says. Been mining on the pool for over 48 hours. Do you think the pool is more accurate in times like this? I do think the pool is more accurate, and it will depend on the pool that you're on. And I also think to take full advantage, you should be building your own node probably, because right now, look, the competition is going to be absolutely insane. But, you know, I think what to mine is probably going to be inaccurate for the foreseeable future on pretty much everything. You're going to have to just pick it, see how it goes, and calculate it out, right? We have another $5 super chat from Wasted Trash Panda. Good to see you back in chat, by the way, guy. He says, Vitalica sits down to pee and his weak noodle arms can't even lift the old school CRT monitor, allegedly. I don't know, man. Like, he obviously probably has to sit down to pee because he's packing. Or he has an infection. A proof of stake infection. Nonsense says, I'm just joking, by the way, guys. All right. Nonsense says, ask Simon Tech, what do you think of ETHW? I think it'll probably most likely be a pump and dump, but like I said, there's no reason not to go grab your bag. John English says, ask Simon Tech, archival node plus miner or just node plus for Caspa? I don't know what you mean archival node, just the node for the Caspa, and you can mine to it with BZ Miner with the node plus TCP as far as that goes. Oscar says, At7 Tech, does joining locals as a paid sub also give you access to Rocket Chat? Yes, it does give you access to Rocket Chat. I can repost the info. It is posted in there as a supporters only post. So there you go, as far as that is concerned. And thank you for asking. XDX says, At7 Tech, how much mining affects coin price? And that is kind of what we're going to find out, right? Clearly, the mining is affecting coin price, but not quite as much as soon as people expect it to. I think really what we'll see is the effects apply, 6 months from now. Samuel Brown, thanks for the €8.99 super chat. Says, S7 Tech, it needs some help to guide on how to solo mine Bitcoin to your own node. You have an S9 currently on a pool and node running. Unsure of what to do to join them together. S9 and a node running. So for the node, what you can use is CG Miner. Let me go get that for you. CFG or CG, is it BFG Miner? BFG Miner. I am sorry. So you'll want to use BFG Miner, Samuel, and you can get that over here, and that will allow you to connect your S9 to, of course, your node. And then you can solo mine directly to your own node. If you want to get up and solo mining right away, CK Pool is the best way to do that. So you could currently go solo mine with your S9 on CK Pool while you learn how to do, of course, this part. So we got DJ Mines with a $5 super chat saying, love what you do, brother. Glad to see the success. We'll see how long it lasts. It's probably a temporary success while we get through, of course, this current unprecedented event within cryptocurrency history. But also, guys, make sure you go follow DJ Mines. He is a YouTuber over here as well. Unfortunately, he did not make it onto the show last night. But we tried to get who we could get on the show. And I think I'll be doing more guests. In fact, I think if you guys are interested, I am going to ask you guys if we should have a daily guest on the crypto mining show. I am curious, should we add a daily guest for about 15 minutes or 30 minutes? Should we have a daily guest on the show for 30 minutes? Yes or no? I'm curious if you guys would like more guests on the show, and you guys let me know, and we'll do what you guys want, because this show, like I said, this is supposed to be I'm the mouthpiece, so we'll try to do this. Alex Fletcher, thanks for the €10 super chat. Says, yay, watching live 2 days in a row. Rigs all shut down. We'll keep reevaluating and jump back in when I can. Last year heated the house with mining and would love to do that again this winter. Well, let me know where you end up. Of course, like I've said before, we're going to have to sit around and see exactly what happens, right? All right, I'm going to scroll back up here, though, and make sure that we get some additional questions that people were going with. Brandon asked, at Son of a Tech, why no stratum for Caspa? You can just run a bridge, which is no big deal. What do you mean? So I'm just saying, I think, because I found, directly to the node, using BT or BZ Miner with node plus TCP provides the best results, and I find the most blocks. As soon as I started trying to utilize a stratum and updating them and trying multiple stratums, I introduced some unreliability in the amount of blocks I was finding. So that's kind of why I just mine directly to the node with Caspa. Okay. Your mileage may vary, and of course there is a new stratums coming out all the time. Brandon, your stratum awesome is great. I think it's the best one I've used, but that was why I just go straight to the node, because that's how it's been functioning for me. I haven't tried your fully up-to-date one either, by the way, so let me be fair there too. Mine Something says, $4.99 super chat. So thank you, brother. Great job today. Thank you for the support, good sir. And we had a $5 euro from Seb Beach. Says, miners online on Ergo at 2 miners about to overtake ETC. Miners online on Ergo at 2 miners about to overtake ETC. I don't know exactly what you're saying, Seb. I'm a little confused. All right, so let's go ahead and see what other questions we had. Life WCJ, that's why I say always donate at the end of the show. I do not answer. We have a very set show here. We answer super chats at the end. You are going to have to ask the question again. We do not answer super chats midstream, because the point is to get the information out to you guys in the most manner possible. People do not want to rewatch a show that I'm responding to chat to the whole time. That's why we save responding to chat to the end of the show. Yes, it is a live show that gives us the opportunity to kind of bob and weave and change topics and that sort of stuff. But that is why it's structured like it is. You know, I don't like to go into a show and just have a guy interrupt every single topic because he's thanking somebody in chat for a super chat, right? It's just kind of the nature of the beast. It's the best way I've found to get through the actual topics. But if you ask the question again and tag at Son of a Tech, I'll try to answer it, okay? The super chats go away pretty quick, unless they're like the $100 super chats as well. Let's see. Omar says, ask Son of a Tech, what is the best Ergo strategy currently on Ergo to BTC on 2 miners? That's the easiest thing to do. And I would say the easiest thing to do is currently the wrong thing to do. So do some more research. Anonymous Miner says, ask Son of a Tech, would this new Team Red miner finally be good for Ergo miner since NB miner seems to have already had and caused the stat within Hive OS to never dip like Team Red or Team Red miner used to do? I don't know. You know, we got to test it. I haven't tested it. There is potential there, right? That's why we covered the latest releases, but it doesn't mean that I've had a chance to test it. You know, I was sleeping. Daniel says, at Son of a Tech, I'm surprised how much hash went to Raven. You know, it's really not. I mean, really, if we convert it to Ethereum hash rate, only 20 terahash moved over. It's not that much. Stone Taka says, hi, Son of a Tech, are you still mining or investing Cortex? Never mined it, never was invested in it, just made how-to videos. You guys do need to understand that just because I make a how-to video, it doesn't mean that I mine it or invested in it. In fact, the majority of the time, I'm not. Mike Wright says, ask Son of a Tech, TRM Discord, Team Red Miners Discord, says not to use the new version with Ergo. You get 50% less hash rate. They should have a fix tomorrow night. Okay, thanks for that. Apparently, there is a bob and weave here. Team Red Miner, the latest one, most notable now that we were just talking about here in a second ago, in testing is showing that you're not getting good hash rates with Ergo. So don't upgrade to the new TRM. Omar says, ask Son of a Tech, what is the best Ergo strategy currently on Ergo to Bitcoin? We already answered that. Please don't double answer it. Life WCJ just answered the question. Stop making the same statement so we can get through these. Roken, thank you for the $1.99 super chat. Says, do you want to smell it? No, I don't want to smell anything. Baff says, at Son of a Tech, how to run a Caspa node. Literally, there's a video and a written guide on the channel. Please just look it up. I will go ahead and link it. Let me YouTube that for you real quick. Samuel Brand says, ask Son of a Tech, thanks. Yes, sir. Living Our Destiny says, ask Son of a Tech, have you checked out that ETH still has 85 terahash on Poolin? Yes, we did see that. Omer says, ask Son of a Tech, what is the best? Okay, god dang it, dude. All right, I'm just going to time you out so that I don't have to read that message again, okay? You'll be untimed out in a second. CW says, at Son of a Tech, 10 to 20 minutes, not 30 minutes. Well, it doesn't pop up here. And I don't know if you've ever run a channel that has over 1,300 concurrent viewers, but what happens is the chat moves too fast. I can't actually scroll up because you can't scroll. I can't scroll up that fast, okay? Can you just ask the question again? All right. Matt says, that Son of a Tech doesn't need to be daily. Bi-weekly is my vote. Sweet. Vinny says, at Son of a Tech just joined on locals. Keep grinding. Thank you, good sir. Nemesis says, yes, at Son of a Tech as long as I'm in once a month for the guest. Ted says, at Son of a Tech, maybe a couple days a week. Bring someone, but not every day. Okay. Note. Ulick says, at Son of a Tech, sorry, I give you a $5 before the Q&A. Go ahead and ask your question again if you can. I love to answer the questions. That's why we are sitting here scrolling through all of them. Tonoli says, ask Tech, what do you suggest about solar mining? If you can, if you have the capital, obviously it's awesome. If you don't have the capital, you know, do you want to pay rent and add in that additional expense, or pay, you know, a fee? I don't know. My scroll up only goes so far, Life WCJ, and I don't see your donation, and it's not rolling at the top. So either something broke or it's just not coming through. I don't know what to tell you. Worst Game says, ask Tech, what can make you to start your machines again? I am running machines right now. We made $300 yesterday, which is 200, you know, 3 times what I normally, or 3 times what I normally make just mining Ethereum. So we did good yesterday. JJ Dog says, ask Tech, are you using VMs for nodes? Yes, I am. Pro Dude says, ask Tech, hey bro, what do you think about converting all the mined ETH to BTC? That's up to you. That's a financial decision. Latrell says, ask Tech, if Vitalik sits, it is going to dip in the water. Oh my God. Elliot says, ask Tech, Twitch today. No Twitch today. I have to go get the kiddos and I got a lot of stuff to do. So no, in fact, we got to go. Yeah, I got to go soon. So Ulick says, for the $5, the question was, does Ergo 8 block difficulty timer mean that profitability tanks in a couple days? Well, so the difference is now is that block times have increased. So the time to difficulty change is actually decreased. We already saw the difficulty change take place since the move. So we have the difficulty time and shift. The difficulty shift has taken place now on Ergo, to my knowledge, from my understanding right now. Rook says, ask Tech, do you think the broad distribution of hash power across pools on ETC increases its utility? Utility is what you can use the token for, so no. Pro Dude says, ask Tech, hey bro, what do you think converting? Okay, we already answered that, so I'm going to go ahead and time this out so I don't have to read that again. You'll be untimed out later and be able to ask new questions. I just, you know, I'm trying to make sure we get to everybody's questions, okay? Hammy Time says, ask Tech, why not just run KDX on PC instead of doing all the process in your node video? Because then you would be running a GUI version on Windows, I guess. Seems dumb. Plus, you can't set up cron jobs. I don't know. And you're utilizing more resources? I don't know. A few different reasons. Earn Digital says, ask Tech, these dudes are being so extra. Thanks for all the help. I'm trying, man. I think we do have a super chat that we missed here. 40 yen, maybe? I don't know. From Utarth. Says, first time GPU thermal pad leak. Should I be worried? No, you shouldn't be worried. You just got to replace the thermal pads. It's not like pads leak because oils are in pads. Once they dry out, then you need to replace the pads. It's not a big deal, man. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. Sunny says, currently dual mining. Nice. Mass says, that's Tech. How we've been exchanging Flux recently. I was using the built-in Zelcore app swap function. However, all I get is Flux BSC now instead of the main chain anymore. Maybe you need to add it back in. I haven't had any issues, but to be fair, I haven't been mining or exchanging Flux much. You know, I've just been holding whatever Flux I have. Mr. Green says, ask Tech, having an issue with my Caspa while it's syncing. Any ideas? No, you could go into the Caspa Discord and they have a support section. Patrick says, that's Tech. How does it feel to now be the rock star of the crypto tubers? I don't really know, man. This is getting interesting for sure. I appreciate everybody's support for sure. You know, I think, you know, there are a lot of great YouTubers and I do want to, and crypto YouTubers and stuff. So, you know, I definitely think you guys should watch everybody and get multiple opinions, because I will miss a lot, right? That's just the nature of the beast. So, make sure you stay as informed as possible. Corporal Crypto says, that's something. Great show today, buddy. You're a trooper for providing content to us plebs with pneumonia. Yeah, luckily I'm on enough of that cough medicine, right? Nicholas Kane says, that's something. 2 miners ETH is live. Also, I saw some pools auto-switched people from ETH to ETH if they hadn't removed them. I'm not sure how that works with the wallets, though. Well, with the wallet, it's pretty simple. If you have the RPC connection, you're going to have the ETH there. I'll go ahead and take a look here after I get the kiddos from school. And then Pranav says, Crazy Pool recently found the block. And then Jay says, that's on Craig's right claim he stepped on his hard drive. I didn't hear that. I think that you're joking, Jay. JJ Doc says, that's on Tech. Great stream last night. Yeah, thank you for watching. Kai Rex says, as I'm Tech, I donated last night about the Z390A motherboard not working anymore with more than 6 GPUs. Your answer it wasn't common, but do you have any things to try or ideas why? No, I don't have anything to try. I mean, I would start with trying a new motherboard and testing on a new motherboard, or have you done the basic troubleshooting steps that I've talked about in a lot of my videos, right? Have you done 1 GPU at a time to see if it works? Go Google like son of a tech troubleshooting mining rig and follow all of the steps. I'm not going to go over that right now because it'll take too long. But I have content out there that tells you how to troubleshoot that stuff. So definitely go look it up. It'll help. Jelly says, that's some tech. Thank you for everything. Signed up on locals. Thank you. Good. Sure. Get the membership later. No, don't worry about it. As long as we crack that 800 membership, the free members, well, I'm pretty happy. Android Man says, ask some tech, are you still looking at creating a pool for ETHW? Yeah, but I got to get the sync running. Apparently we can do that now. So I'm going to go get to work on that, this evening, probably. Applicable Robot says, ask some tech, have you tried Flexpool's ZMP Zilica system with BZ Miner? Would be easy to add since you're already there for Caspa. No, I haven't, but I can try to look into it. That being said, I don't utilize Flexpool because they participate in sanctions. So I'm principally against Flexpool, and I stand against Flexpool, and I will not utilize them. So personally, I boycott them. Seb says, ask some tech, did you expect Ergo to get this much hash rate after the merge? Yes, I did. Raymond says, that's Tech Bitmain Antminer KA3 any good? I should say I expected more hash rate, by the way, Seb. But we have 430 terahash just turned off and not doing anything, which is interesting. I got to get going, guys. I got to go pick up the kids and do all of that. To everybody that I missed the chats from, I apologize. Life WCJ, I'm sorry I missed them. I can't scroll up. Any further. I can only scroll up to Alex Fletcher as the last one with the $10 euro. So I don't know. It is what it is. As far as the poll, you guys do want guests. I'll start seeing if we can schedule out a guest here and there on the shows. I don't want it to take up a huge portion of the show, so we'll make sure that we keep it like maybe 1 guest every other day, and it's like a 30-minute segment, right? I think that there's enough miners that'll be interested in, and then hopefully we can spread the love of the newfound viewership. So thanks everybody for watching. I don't have an outro yet. I'm working on it, but right now, hit the like, comment, subscribe, notification bell, share it out to your friends and family. Hit that like, get us over 900 likes today, and I will see you next Tuesday. There you go. Bam. Yeah.